Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my dear followers and subscribers. Welcome to the live stream podcast Radio Temo on my YouTube channel, Music Temo. Last time we had Deep Purple on our podcast. Today we'll go in a totally different direction. It will be soft, easy listening music. Our live stream intro music will be shorter at the beginning because we've collected 19 songs to play for you. All the songs have been selected carefully, the best of the best, I should say, although this group has so many beautiful songs. Almost all the songs they play are unique and special, and all that because of its lead singer. Let's start with the Fabulous group, with its music and history which is very touching, emotional, happy and sad. So no more introductions. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Carpenters tonight. We'll first start with the song which we are listening to now. We've Only Just Begun is the first track from the album Close to You, released in August 1970. The songwriters are Roger Nichols and Paul Williams. Older brother Richard was 16 and his sister Karen Carpenter was 13 when their family moved to Downey, Los Angeles in 1963. Richard was already involved with music. His love towards classical music started in the early years.
So many roads to choose.
By that time, he was 16. Richard was taking piano classes at Yale School of Music, and everyone in the neighborhood knew that he was headed for a career as a musician. So one of the reasons why the family moved to Los Angeles was that it would mean better musical opportunities for Richard.
Watch the signs along the way. Talking it over, just the two of us.
The siblings were best friends to each other. Richard was a quiet boy. He would often stay at home practicing while Karen was friendly and outgoing. She would play softball with the boys or roller skating with the girls in the neighborhood. Although Karen's interests towards music were very obvious from the beginning, no one could expect her to follow it professionally.
Find a place where there's room to grow. And yes, we've just begun.
Very soon, Richard started to play organ at the local Methodist church. He had to hide his age when he was playing at the nightclubs. In late 1964, Richard enrolled at California State College at Long Beach, where he met his future songwriting partners John Bettis, Wesley Jacobs and Frank Puller.
Together.
Karen was 14 when she first expressed her interest for the drums. Since her parents couldn't afford the drum set at the first, Karen practiced with the sticks on a bar stool. When she finally got drums, Karen spent hours learning complex pieces, such as Dave Brubeck's Take 5.
We'll find a place where there's room to grow.
By 1965, Karen had been practicing the drums for a year and Richard was refining his piano techniques under Frank Puller's instruction. Late that year, Richard teamed up with Wesley Jacobs, who played tuba and stand-up bass. With Karen drumming, the three formed the jazz-oriented Richard Carpenter Trio.
Just like me, they long to be close to you. Why do stars fall down from the sky every time?
In June of 1966, the trio won the Hollywood Bowl Battle of the Bands, a prestigious amateur talent competition where the group played Richard Carpenter's composition. It was a big night in many ways for 16-year-old Karen and 19-year-old Richard.
The angels got together and decided to create a dream.
Richard remembers how proud his father was about his children after that night, even though he was never saying that much to Richard one way or another. It remains as a sweet memory in Richard's mind.
That is why all the girls in town follow you.
Karen subsequently became more confident in singing and began to take lessons with Frank Puller. Same year, the band signed with RCA Records. They recorded songs such as the Beatles' Every Little Thing and Frank Sinatra's Strangers in the Night. A committee reviewed their records and chose not to produce them. So, the trio were released from RCA. In 1967, Jacobs left to study classical music and joined the Detroit Symphony Orchestra, and Richard Carpenter Trio disbanded. Richard, along with Karen, now formed a group called Spectrum. Richard was the leader and set the style of the band. Less instrumentals and more vocal harmonies. The group played at clubs around Los Angeles.
That is why.
By 1968, Spectrum had disbanded, finding it difficult to get gigs as their music was not considered danceable by rock and roll standards. Having enjoyed their multi-layer sound experiments at Osborne Studio, Richard and Karen decided to formally become a duo calling themselves Carpenters.
Just like me, they long to be close to you.
On April 22, 1969, Karen and Richard Carpenter signed their first major record deal with A&M. Karen was still underage and only 19 and had their parents to co-sign. The siblings immediately went to work on their first album. On October 9, 1969, the Carpenters released their first album titled Offering, which didn't go well and the duo went on the edge of signing off from the record company. Finally, one of the A&M owners, Herb Alpert, gave another chance to Carpenters. He also found their first hit. A song we are listening to right now, Close to You, is the title track from the album. It was written in 1969 by Burt Bacharach.
Close to you.
The song previously was recorded by many other popular singers, but the best version happened to be this one here with the Carpenters. Because of some important change in arrangement of the song made by Richard and because of Karen's beautiful voice, of course.
Talking to myself and feeling old. Sometimes I'd like to quit. Nothing ever seems to fit. Hanging around, nothing to do but frown. Rainy days and Mondays always get me down. What I've got they used to call the blues. nothing is really wrong. Feeling like I don't belong.
Rainy Days and Mondays is another Carpenter song which is written by Paul Williams. If you haven't heard about him before, Williams is the author of many hits of the 70s. He wrote Evergreen, a song for Barbara Streisand from the 1976 movie A Star is Born, Rainbow Connection for the Muppet movie, and the list goes on. Check him on the web. The man is genius.
Funny, but it seems that it's the only thing to do. Run and find the one.
The group gained a big success after the second studio album. They had several television appearances in 1970, including The Ed Sullivan Show. The Carpenters also chose Shervin Bush as their new manager around this time. The group found themselves at the 1971 Grammys as a multiple award winners.
Hanging around, nothing to do but frown. Rainy days and Mondays always get me.
The Carpenters' life remained the same despite their great success. They still lived with their parents and still loved Big Macs. The song Rainy Days and Mondays is the first track of their self-titled third album Carpenters, released on May 14, 1971.
Funny, but it seems that it's the only thing to do.
By that time, group consisted of Karen Carpenter, vocals, drums, Richard Carpenter, arranger, piano, harpsichord, electric piano, Hammond organ, vocals orchestration, Hal Blaine, drums, Earl Daimler, oboe and flute, Bob Messenger on bass, reeds and saxophone, Joe Osborne on bass, Tommy Morgan, who is playing harmonica on Rainy Days and Mondays, and Doug Strone on reeds.
Rainy days, Mondays always get me down. Hanging around.
It has been said that the strength of these recordings is what caused Richard Carpenter to ask his sister to front the band for their live performances instead of playing behind the drums. The album and its singles earned Carpenters 4 Grammy Award nominations, including Album of the Year. It won the Best Contemporary Vocal Performance by a Duo, Group or Chorus.
Saturday began much the same as other days, but ended up different in many ways. Love is in my world since Saturday.
Now we are listening to a song which has been sang by Richard Carpenter. It is one of the few songs that Richard has sang for the group. The song Saturday is the second track of the album Carpenters, and it's only 1 minute and 20 seconds long.
I whistle the bluebirds. I try to tell them how you brought me sunshine. My head's full of new words. They sing to the sound of the day after Friday. Come and see the flowers of love she gave to me. The gorgeous.
Next, we will have another song from the album Carpenters, which is called Superstar. Generally, we have 2 or 3 songs from almost each album.
My head's full of new words. Sing to the sound of the day after Friday. Day after Friday. Come and see the flowers of love she gave.
The songwriters for the Saturday are John Bettis and Richard Carpenter.
So Saturday, Saturday, ever loving Saturday. Saturday, Saturday, ever loving Saturday.
As Karen's popularity as a singer grew, so did the pressure for her to take the normal position of a lead singer center stage. So she agreed to a compromise. The major ballads she would sing out front, the rest she would perform with the drums.
Long ago, and oh so far away, I fell in love.
It wasn't about how she sounded, she was carrying both just fine. The thing is, you have this phenomenal voice behind all this stuff, and people wanted to see the singer.
Your guitar, it sounds so sweet and clear, but you're not
That was the other thing, that it was all them. And it was very difficult, because it was weeks and weeks of vocal overdubs.
Don't you remember you told me you loved me, baby? You said you'd be coming back this way again, baby.
According to Joan Bettis, Richard's method of recording was very grueling.
I love you, I really do.
Richard seemed to have a sixth sense for picking songs that were perfect for his sister's voice. The song Superstar highlights the undercurrent of sadness that was a key to the appeal of Karen's voice. Superstar is written by Bonnie Bramlett and Leon Russell. The song had been made popular by Rita Coolidge in 1970, but the Carpenters' version, released as a single in August 1971, became an international hit.
To be with you again. What to say?
In the liner notes for Gold 35th Anniversary Edition, Richard writes that he saw Bette Midler singing the song on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson and felt that it would be a perfect fit for Karen's voice.
Don't you remember you told me you loved me, baby? You said you'd be coming back this way again, baby.
Richard did have reservations about the lyrics, however, which he found a little bit suggestive. After changing "I can hardly wait to sleep with you again" to "I can hardly wait to be with you again." He recorded Karen singing the song, reading the revised lyrics from a napkin.
Remember you told me you loved me, baby. You said you'd be coming back this way again, baby. Baby, 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 oh baby.
What wound up on the finished recording was the first time Karen had ever sang Superstar. After only the first take, Richard claimed that her performance was perfect as it was, and did not need it repeating. It is hard to not agree with him. We are now listening to the song called "It's Going to Take Some Time." The song is written by Tony Stern and great Carole King. It is from Carpenter's fourth studio album, A Song for You.
It's gonna take some time this time to get myself in shape. I really fell out of line this time. I really missed the game.
Carole King added this song to her album Music, which was released in 1971. The intro of the song reminds me "If You Leave Me Now" by Chicago a little bit. Here again, I prefer this version of Carpenter's, although King's version is also very good. The Carpenters' album A Song for You was released on June 13, 1972 by A&M Records.
And I can't make demands, but like the young trees in the winter time, I'll learn how to bend. After all the tears we spent.
After each record, the Carpenters would have a string of hits. Richard remembers every record that would come would go up, and it was just a magical time. Richard was ready to make those records, and Karen was really ready to sing those songs.
This time, and I can't make demands.
The record producer Phil Ramone has said, "Karen had that incredible voice that we used to call instant radio. You know, when the radio was on and you heard Carpenter's voice, it would take about 3 seconds and you knew who it was. That's amazing. Incredible instrument."
It's gonna take some time this time, no matter what I plan. But like the young trees in the winter time.
As I mentioned before, Carpenter's almost every song was a hit. In this album also. There are other great songs such as Hurting Each Other, a cover of an obscure Ruby and the Romantics tune, which was the first single issued in early 1972 and reached number 2, becoming the Carpenters' 6th straight gold single.
To take some time this time.
We will play the other 2 songs from this album, the songs which also went on the top of the charts.
Such a feeling's coming over me.
Top of the World is another track from the album A Song for You. It is written by Richard Carpenter and John Bettis. The song was album's biggest hit single and the number 1 song of the album. It was not issued until over a year after the album's release.
Everything I want the world to be is now coming true, especially for me, and the reason is clear.
According to Richard Carpenter, the reason for the song's late release as a single in the US was that he had misjudged the song's commercial appeal, but was proven wrong when it became a hit in Japan in 1972.
Creation, and the only explanation I can find is the love that I've found ever since you've been around. Your love's put me.
Lean Anderson's cover reached number 2 on the US country charts in 1973. The duo was upset that they hadn't released their version as a single to begin with. The song went through a few minor revisions, including a slight remix. Finally, the Carpenters' version was later released as a single on September 17, 1973.
Trees and the touch of the breeze, there's a pleasing sense of happiness for me. There is only one wish on my mind.
The kids and the adults maybe also would remember this song from the animated film Shrek Forever After. Following its single release, the song topped the Billboard Hot 100 chart in late 1973. It became the duo's second of the 3 number 1 singles following They Long to Be Close to You and preceding Please Mr. Postman.
Creation, and the only explanation I can find is the love that I've found ever since you've been around. Your love's put me at the top.
Within a few short years, Karen and Richard Carpenter had gone from suburban kids with a dream of international pop stars.
The only explanation I can find is the love that I've found ever since you've been around. Your love's put me at the top of the world.
In August 1st, 1972, the Carpenters visited the White House to meet President Richard Nixon and posed for photographs with him at the Oval Office.
I'll say goodbye to love. No one ever cared if I should live or die. Time and time again.
Now we are listening to the 3rd song from the album A Song for You. It's called Goodbye to Love. It is my favorite song of the album.
I just can't seem to find it. So I've made my mind up, I must live my life alone. And though it's not the easy...
The song is again written by Richard Carpenter and John Bettis. It was released as a single on June 19, 1972. The song actually was the first collaborative start of the songwriters.
of mine. Surely time will lose these bitter memories, and I'll find that there is someone to believe in and to live for. Something.
While visiting London, Richard Carpenter watched a 1940 Bing Crosby film on the late movie called Written on the River. The Carpenters noticed that the characters kept referring to the struggling songwriter's greatest composition, Goodbye to Love. Carpenter said, "You never hear it in the movie. They just keep referring to it." and he thought it was a good title for a song. For a ballad song, Richard decided to add a very unusual for Carpenter's rock guitar solo at the end. His request surprised even a guitar player. Tony Peluso remembers, "At first I didn't believe that it was actually Karen Carpenter on the phone, but she repeated her name again. It was at this point that I realized it was really her and that I was speaking to one of my idols."
But for now this is my song, and it's goodbye to love. I'll say goodbye to love.
When they went for recording, Richard asked Tony Peluso to play something like rock and roll fast tone guitar, the sound that Peluso had used many times with his previous bands. Peluso first suggested more soft sound, but then, after Richard's demand, he said okay, no problem, and the guitar solo we hear in the song was finally added. The Carpenters received hate mail claiming that they had sold out and gone hard rock because of Richard's idea for a fast guitar solo in a love ballad. Goodbye to Love has been described as the prototypical power ballad, which is very usual today.
When I was young, I'd listen to the radio, waiting for my favorite songs. When they played, I'd sing along. It made me smile.
We are now listening to the song from their fifth studio album, Now and Then, released on 1st of May, 1973. The song is called Yesterday Once More. The song is written by John Bettis and Richard Carpenter again.
Just like a long-lost friend, all the songs I love so well, every sha-la-la-la, every woe.
Richard wrote Yesterday Once More after hearing the melody in his head while driving one day. The temporary lyrics for the chorus, which has intended to change later, were kept after, when John Bettis told Richard, "This sha-la-la-la-wo-wo stuff sounds pretty good."
When they get to the part where he's breaking her heart, it can really make me cry, just like
In the album, the song is the first track of the medley. The single peaked at number 2 on July 28, 1973, and became the duo's biggest worldwide hit. By 1973, the Carpenters were A&M's top-selling group, yet before the end of the 70s, it would all begin to fall apart.
on how it was in years gone by, and the good times that I had makes today seem.
It was a time of revolution in the streets and in the world of popular music. Suddenly, what you were listening to defined which side you were on, and the phrase generation gap was on every exasperated parent's lips.
I would sing to them, and I'd memorize each word. Those old melodies still sound so good to me as they melt the years away.
The Carpenters was seen by rock press as a brother and sister team who sang syrupy love songs. It was hard for siblings to deal with personal criticism of their hair and clothes, but what really made them angry was the unthinking dismissal of their music.
They're starting to sing so fine. All my best memories come back.
We should mention that they were President Nixon's favorite group, who later would resign over the Watergate scandal. Nixon had invited Carpenters for a second time to perform a special concert at the White House.
It's yesterday once more. Every sha-la-la-la, every woe.
Despite the criticism of the hip-hop press, Carpenters' records flew out of the stores, and their concerts sold out around the world. A manager, Sherwin Bash, remembers, "Somehow or another, every one of their albums sold so many millions of copies to whom we don't know, nobody would admit they brought one. But miraculously, they were sold."
Every woe still shines. Every shingling.
I would add from my side, the music speaks for itself, and no other propaganda or stereotype would work against it. We all have been trapped into the moral dictate of a society. Some of us have condemned something or someone who would go against our habits.
Sing, sing a song, sing out loud, sing out strong, sing of good things, not bad.
But after exhausting working hours, after the dirty jobs some of us do, after the craziness facing out in the cities, we are all coming back to our secrets we have hidden, the secrets that would help us to calm.
Make it simple to last your whole life.
Something that would make us dream for a better place. Something that would bring good memories to us. Something bright that would shine and warm up our hearts. Something that would make us feel like we are flying above the skies and not caring what the others would say down on the earth. This is exactly what people were doing. Many of them were criticizing the Carpenters when many of them had 1 or 2 albums at home and were listening to it, secretly or not. Because in the end, only stupid people with animal instinct would not accept what is good.
Last your whole life long. Don't worry that it's not good enough for anyone else to hear. Just say.
So listen to the music, people, all kinds of music. Just try to develop a taste that would help you distinguish the good from the bad. Just remember though that everything has its limits. Even love would kill you if it's too much.
Sing a song.
The album Now and Then was named by Duo's mother, Agnes. It contained Sesame Street's signature song, Sing, the song we are listening to right now, featuring the Jimmy Joyce Children's Choir, which was released as a single also, reaching number 3 on the Hot 100. Sing was the album's lead track. The song is written by Sesame Street's frequent composer Joe Raposo.
A good bad Joe, you gotta go. Me, oh my.
The album Now and Then consists of other great songs such as This Masquerade by Leon Russell, which later would become George Benson's cover hit, and Jambalaya on the Bayou, the song we are listening to right now.
Son of a gun, we'll have big fun on the bayou. Thibodeau, Fountain Road, the place is buzzing. A kinfolk come to see you.
I like this song. It's an easy listening country song with a little bit up-tempo rhythm and funny though sad lyrics at the same time.
Son of a gun, we'll have big fun on the bayou. Jambalaya, crawfish pie, and Philly gumbo. For tonight, I'm gonna see Mama Cheryl Mio.
The song is originally written by Hank Williams and Moon Malikan. It resembles Grant Texas in melody only. Grant Texas is a song about lost love, a woman who left the singer to go with another man to Big Texas. Of course, the Carpenters version is way better than the original, in my opinion always. It has a bright sound with its beautiful arrangement from Richard, and it has of course Karen's fabulous voice.
Swap is mounted by Yvonne, what she need, oh. Son of a gun, we'll have big fun on the bayou. Jambalaya, crawfish pie, Philly gumbo.
By this time, jets and first-class suites had replaced the rider trucks and college dorm rooms. What hadn't changed was Richard and Karen striving to make each performance an exact recreation of the recorded version. In the interview in early 70s, Karen talked about their drive for perfection. We spent a lot of time trying to achieve perfection as close as we could come. And that's not that easy. It's a full-time job. It's the foremost thing in both of our minds.
Big guitar, fill for jar and big ale. Son of a gun, we'll have big fun on the bayou.
Band members were proud of the music they were playing with the Carpenters, and they genuinely liked and respected Karen and Richard. Still, they couldn't help but see the flip side of the duo's smiling personas. Any band member who would miss the note, who entered outside of the prescripted arrangement, would receive a cold stare and verbal lashing after the show from Karen.
For tonight, I'm gonna see Mama Cheryl Mio. Big guitar, fill for jar.
This thirst to perfection would reflect on Karen's life later. And it would reflect very badly. Remember, everything has its limit. It's an ancient Greek saying, pan metron ariston, that means all the things in good measure.
We fell in love on the first night that we met. Together we've been happy, I have very few regrets. The ordinary problems have not been hard to face.
The Carpenters did not record a new album in 1974. They had been touring extensively and were exhausted. Richard later said, "There was simply no time to make one, nor I was in the mood."
But you can't rearrange my life because it pleases you. You've got to love me for what I am, for simply being me.
Tensions had erupted in the family unit. Richard had started dating the group's hairdresser, but neither Agnes nor Karen took kindly to her, and she ultimately ended the relationship and quit the band's services.
You're really not in love, so let me go. I must be free. If what you want.
As the duo had become international stars, their personal lives were not successful as their career. Though Karen occasionally dated, her relationship never lasted. She was both too busy with the music and too afraid of ending up with a gold digger.
For all your expectations, love can never be designed. We either take each other forever.
In 1974, Karen decided that she needed to lose weight. She had always disliked her hourglass body and now began what everyone considered normal dieting.
You've got to love me for what I am, for simply being me. Don't love me for what you intend or hope that I will be. And if you're only using me to feed your fantasy, you're really not in love. So let me go. I must be free.
On 6th of June 1975, the Carpenters released their sixth studio album, Horizon. The song we are listening to is from the album and it's called Love Me For What I Am. The song was also released as a single. It's written by Jon Bettis and Palma Pascal.
You're really not in love, so let me go. I must be free.
The album has been certified platinum by the Recording Industry Association of America for shipments of 1 million copies. It was particularly successful in the United Kingdom and Japan, topping the charts and becoming one of the best-selling albums of 1975 in those countries. Horizon also reached number 3 in New Zealand, number 4 in Canada, and number 5 in Norway. Richard was very concerned about Karen's dieting. He spoke to his sister about it, but she told him not to be worried. She just wanted to get down to 105 pounds. But 105 pounds came and went, but Karen kept dieting. By 1975, the normally energetic singer had to rest between shows in Las Vegas. Then something even more uncharacteristic happened. Karen, who never missed a day at work, became too weak to perform. The Carpenters had to cancel their sold-out appearance in Britain and Japan.
My chance could come and I might never know. I used to say no promises, let's keep it simple. That freedom only helps you say goodbye. It took a while for me to learn.
The family and the friends later found out that Karen had anorexia nervosa. Richard had to fly overseas to speak to fans and promoters. Karen rested at home in Downey under the watchful eyes of her mother. When her weight climbed back to 104 pounds, everyone thought the worst was over. On 11th of June 1976, Carpenters finally released their seventh studio album, A Kind of Hush. By that time of the album's recording, Richard Carpenter's addiction to sleeping pills had begun to affect him professionally.
I'm wide awake at 4 a.m. without a friend inside. I'm hanging on a hoop, but I'm all
album was the first not to have Karen playing drums on any tracks, which were performed by Los Angeles session drummer Jim Gordon.
And fool enough to think that's what I'll find. I know I need to be in love. I know I've wasted too much time.
The song we are listening to is called I Need to Be in Love. The songwriters are Richard Carpenter, Albert Hammond, and John Bettis.
And fool enough to think that's what I'll find.
John Bettis called I Need to Be in Love the favorite lyrics he ever wrote for Karen Carpenter. If there was ever anything that came out of my heart straight to Karen's, I would say that was it. I was very proud for that. Richard Carpenter recalled that the song became Karen's favorite Carpenter song.
There's a kind of hush all over the world.
We are now listening to the title track of the album, A Kind of Hush. The song is written by Les Reed and Jeff Stephens. It was originally recorded by Stephens' group The New Woodville Band in 1967.
And nobody else in sight. There's nobody else, and I'm feeling good, just holding you tight.
Let's continue with the Carpenter story. Though the album had sold well, the group didn't feel that it was their best work. Fatigue from endless touring and personal appearances had seeped to the recording process. The Carpenters decided that they needed a new direction, and that direction was television.
Is when I whisper in your ear, I love you forever and ever. And there's a kind of hush all over the world.
The television would keep them in touch with their fans and off the road for a while. Their first national television special aired on December 8, 1976. The show was a hit, ranking number 6 in the ratings, and they went on to host several more specials.
So listen very carefully, get closer now and you will see what I mean.
Many well-known figures and stars would appear on their show, including John Denver and Victor Borge. The Carpenters at Christmas aired on December 9, 1977, featuring Christy McNichol.
Your ear, I love you forever and ever. And there's a kind of hush all over the world tonight.
These programs allowed Karen to show off her talent as a comedian, and it gave Richard a chance to highlight his musical roots. Yet their success on television did not lessen their desire for another top 10 hit. The pressure was especially great on Richard as the group's producer. Few fans knew of Richard's behind-the-scenes role. The public saw him as Karen's boring brother. At one public appearance, Richard was introduced as the piano player for the Carpenters.
Let us put men and women together and see which one is smarter. Some say man, but I say no.
1977 album Passage marked an attempt to venture into other musical genres. It featured an unlikely mix of jazz fusion with the song But Wanna She Know Home and Man Smart, Woman Smarter, the song we are listening to right now.
Well, that's right, the women are smarter. That's right, the women are smarter. Little boy sat down and cried, and old man passed it, asked him why.
Man Smart Woman Smarter is a calypso song variously credited as being composed by Norman Spenn, as known as King Radio. His authorship seems most likely since a popular calypso musician and songwriter. He first recorded the song in 1936 and none of the other composers were associated with calypso by that time. For those who don't know what calypso is, it's Caribbean music with its characteristic rhythm, which originated from West Africa. The best example would be Matilda by Harry Belafonte. Belafonte was often referred to as a king of calypso. Passage is the only Carpenter's album, aside from their Christmas albums, not to contain a Richard Carpenter or John Betty song, and also the second album to not have Karen playing drums at all. It was the first studio album since Close to You not to use a familiar Carpenter's logo on the front cover, although a small version of the logo appears on the back cover. Prior to album's recording, a search was made for a new Carpenter's producer, promoted by the band's decreasing popularity and Richard Carpenter's struggle with production duties caused by his addiction to sleeping pills. However, according to Richard Carpenter, not one major producer would sign on. Radio was not quite as friendly at that time to our type of sound, and to be honest, my track record on the whole was a tough act to follow. As mentioned before, with countless hours of working, Richard could not handle it without taking a medical prescription which would help him relax, which later appeared to be a bad habit. He finally got addicted to the sleeping pills. Richard simply could not longer go on, and he finally made a decision to cancel the rest of the group's 2-week engagement. Everyone, including Richard, assumed it was only a temporary break, but it would be the last time the band would play together live. Richard went to a rehabilitation center in Topeka, Kansas. He stayed about a month there. Then after, he stayed home and took a rest for a while. By that time, Karen decided to make a solo album. It was not an easy decision, but finally she resolved to go ahead with it. A&M arranged for her to work with veteran producer Phil Ramone. The album Karen Carpenter was the only solo album which Karen recorded.
Let's go back to the place where it all began. I've been long enough in your memory. Now that I need you here with me.
The album had a negative reaction and she decided not to release it. In his interview, Richard has said, "The material was ill-suited for Karen and most of the songs were up too high. And of course, part of Karen's appeal and charm was the resonance that comes from the low register."
So let's take it right back to the start.
At about this time, in 1980, Karen's love life finally took center stage. Through friends, she met a businessman, Tom Harris, the person who would not be a gold digger for sure. On August 31st, 1980, the couple were married at the Beverly Hills Hotel in California. The song we are listening to now is called Want You Back in My Life. It is from the Carpenters' 10th album Made in America, which was finally released in June 1981. The song is written by Kerry Chatter and Chris Christian. It has a typical 80s groove, the vibe that had surrounded America and Europe. The characteristic synth sound by Daryl Dragon, who is known from the group Captain Centennial, and the best of all, the lyrics.
Let's go back to the place where it all began. I've been long enough with your memory.
The 80s rhythmic songs especially have much more light lyrics. It's about love usually, and about looking after yourself, your body, and your public appearance. Don't forget that it was the aerobic era with Jane Fonda, who had conquered televisions around the world, and of course Olivia Newton-John with her hit song Physical. Made in America is the Carpenters' last studio album, which was released before the final curtain for the group would fall. Karen was unhappy with her marriage. She was hoping that she would marry the perfect husband and would have children and family. After all, she was that girl next door, roller skating and playing with the friends in the neighborhood.
There's no harm in thunder if you are there. And now when you touch my feelings fly. Now when I'm smiling.
Within months of wedding, the marriage was in trouble and on the verge of divorce. After moving to New York City in January 1982, Karen sought therapy for her eating order. In April 1982, she briefly returned to Los Angeles for recording. In September 1982, Karen called her doctor to say her heart was beating funny and she felt dizzy and confused, admitting herself into the hospital later that month. Soon she left the hospital, and despite pleas from family and friends, she announced that she was returning home to California and that she was cured. On February 1st, 1983, Karen and Richard met for dinner and discussed future plans for the Carpenters, including a return to touring. On February 3rd, Karen visited her parents and discussed finalizing her divorce from Tom Burris.
I'll never face the nights alone. You gave me the courage I need to win, to open my heart and
Next day, on the morning of February 4th, when Agnes Carpenter called her daughter to come down for breakfast, she got no answer. Rushing upstairs, Agnes found Karen passed out on the floor of her bedroom. The girl everybody loved had died at her parents' house, together with her childhood memories close to her mother. The song we are listening to was the last song Karen ever recorded. Now is the first track of the album Voice of the Heart, which was released right after her death in 1983. Richard lives with his wife in Thousand Oaks, California. He has 5 children and he is still performing at various events. There are many post-most releases of the Carpenters with different orchestration and remix of the songs. I just want to close our podcast with Carpenters' another song from their third 1971 album, Carpenters. The song is called Sometimes, written by great Henry Mancini. John Bettis has said, Karen went to the places that is exactly same in every human being. Oh, that from my side. Karen went to all the people's hearts. The legacy the Carpenters left will be unforgotten. Their music will make people happy again. Many people would still play Carpenters in their weddings. Many people would cry with Carpenter's songs after being broken-hearted, and the others will just listen to good music.
Sometimes, not often enough, we reflect upon the good things, and those thoughts always center around those we love. And I think about those people who mean so much to me, and for so many years have made me so very happy. And I count the times I have forgotten to say thank you, and just how much I love them.
That's all for tonight, folks. I hope you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe, like and comment on my videos. Our next live streaming will be on Sunday, December 8 at 7 p.m. Greenwich time. We will have a female diva of rock and roll on our next podcast, the request from our friend and subscriber. Take care of yourselves, your family and your loved ones. Listen to the music and dance a lot. Peace and love to all of you.